My name is Riley Clark, and this channel primarily focuses on my adventures as a nature photographer and filmmaker. My home base on these adventures is this 2022 144 4x4 Mercedes Sprinter van that last year my dad and I both jumped in and converted from a blank cargo van to a fully functioning RV. Now, without diving too much into it, we recently ripped all of the cabinetry out of it, and currently we are in the middle of a renovation, which leads me to today's video, which is my personal favorite project. That is building this driver's side cabinet, which serves as the key point of my mobile photography workstation. When we were designing this cabinet, I needed this particular space to solve three problems for us. The first was to have a secure place to charge gear. Second, we needed a house for our refrigerator. Third, we needed a place to put our Cuddy composting toilet. So I then took these ideas, went over to the computer, jumped in SketchUp, and started drawing. This build is made up of two sections that are tied together by a large drop-in storage area that is designed to hold my camera gear. One section will be designed around the fridge, which is an isotherm 65 12-volt refrigerator, and the second major component is our Cuddy composting toilet, which will be in the center of the cabinet. From there, we designed three drawers to fit the excess areas, so we had plenty of storage and for clothes and things like that. From there, I exported a cut list using Open Cut List and headed to the shop to get to work. We are mainly using 1/2-inch Baltic birch plywood for this build, but we do have a few sections of 3/4 inch and one section of 1/4 inch Baltic birch plywood. Our drawer bottoms were all made out of 1/4 inch Baltic birch, but we will talk about the drawers more in that section. We used the table saw for the majority of our cuts on this build, but also used a chop saw to break down some of the smaller components. Once everything was cut and labeled and put into their respective piles, it was time for the assembly process. Now, nothing new here. The main joints that we are using with this cabinet is Kreg pocket hole jigs. We carefully laid out the holes by measuring and marking so we could ensure a professional looking and secure joint. Now the easy part comes. Assembling everything just like Legos or Lincoln Logs, whatever floats your boat. I'm a Lego guy, so I like to say Legos. As I mentioned earlier, that this was essentially two sections tied together by the drop-in. So first we built the side that features the fridge and toilet. Then we built the box that has our larger drawers and smaller skinny drawers. Now, once we had our two main boxes built, it was time to fasten them together and then to put the drop-in to secure the entire cabinet. voila, we finally had the shell of the build assembled. Now, once this shell was complete, it was time to start building the drawers. Each drawer was built using 1/2-inch Baltic birch plywood for the sides, and then a 1/4-inch piece was used for the bottoms. Except for our toilet drawer, which is built completely out of 1/2-inch Baltic birch, and that is so we had more strength when using the toilet. We took each of our drawer sides and created an assembly line for cutting dados. We would use these dado joints to add extra strength to the drawer bottoms. We opted to use full extension drawer glides, and after a bit of measuring, we went ahead and installed each glide on their corresponding drawer. Then we went ahead and tested to see how they fit. Once we were happy with how every drawer worked, we started to measure and build the faces for the drawers so we could start wrapping this project up. We are using marine grade slam latches in this build, as the last latches that we used were a pain in the butt. I didn't do a very good job of filming this portion because there was a lot of trial and error. So instead of having you guys watch a bunch of mess ups, I just want to go ahead and show you what we ended up doing. So you first off got to measure for the overlap of your drawer face. So depending on your build, that will kind of determine the depth or measurement for the slam latch. I believe ours was like 1.5 inches down because of our overlap. And so what we did is I measured 1.5 inches down from the top, drilled a small pilot hole, so then I had a place to drill the hole saw for the outer hole. But before I drilled that full outer hole, I actually used a larger hole saw on the inside portion where our actual drawer and drawer face meet each other, and then that way I was able to create a larger space for the latch to live within. And then the smaller hole saw, which was at the actual size that the latch company actually needed you to use. So there's plenty of videos out there showing how to install these slam latches. Again, it's going to be pretty specific to your build. For us, it was about 1.5 inches down, and then from there we were able to adjust the depth, which I will talk to you guys about in the van. The cross members that we built, I honestly should have taken 2 of the 1/2-inch pieces and glued them together to create like a 1-inch thick piece and then stapled it in, because there wasn't enough depth with the 1/2 inch to be able to grab the slam latch. So what we did is we just stapled some pieces of wood on the backside, and then it gave us enough depth to use that slam latch. So I'll make sure I overlay some B-roll so it makes more sense for you guys, but that was another little minor adjustment. Wasn't a big deal to staple on another piece on the back though. Now, I'm going to be honest with you guys, I did make a few small mistakes in my design process, but because I spent so much time going over every minute detail in that design process, coming up with solutions wasn't that big of a deal. Now, one of the biggest overlooks I had was with our toilet drawer here. If you look, I have our slam latches installed, and I also have these little flip latches, which is like the same latches we used on the flip down on the driver's side cabinet or passenger side cabinet over here. And the reason is when I put these latches in, they worked, the slam latches in, they worked great. The only problem is because we designed the toilet box perfect for the dimensions of the toilet, the metal latches that you installed here hit the toilet and it couldn't close. So we just took those out, and I used these latches here just to lock it up, and then we use the slam latches to kind of pull it out so we have it. We're probably going to rebuild a face here in the future, but for now this works great. Now, with all of the craziness I had going on during this build process and other business ventures, I did screw up and I lost some footage, and all of that footage was in regards to our countertops, essentially. So I want to talk to you guys about this flip up countertop, because this was the main part of the design, and since I screwed up and lost the footage of that, I thought maybe I could just film this and we'll make it work. But so essentially what we did is we used a piece of piano hinge there. Let me darken this down. A piece of piano hinge along the back there for this to hinge up on. And then what we had to do is, don't mind it being very messy in here, I need to organize. We actually added another piece of the butcher block here so that piano hinge, if you guys can see, had a place to screw to for it to hinge down. And then we just added a big plunger to hold it up. And then I put this lock system in to keep it from opening when we're driving, and then also to lock up all the equipment when it's all said and done. I still need to go through here and build like some storage and places for my chargers so they're not just all like chilling out here, but you can see in the back I have some power there. So that's the next mini project on this, is creating some organization. But it was more important for me to just build that and start to kind of figure out maybe what I want from that. So I'm not just building a bunch of storage I can't use. I wanted to make sure that it was customized to the needs of my equipment. So now I have a pretty good idea, so I'll probably work on that here in the next little bit. Now, before we did all the assembly, we did install as much edge banding as we possibly could, which is just a heat activated wood veneer that we put on the edges just so you don't see the plywood joints. From there, we finished sanded the cabinet and prepped it for the primer. Now, we opted to paint these cabinets, so first we applied a coat of primer, which was paired with the paint at the store. This primer has a blocker in it which will help block out all of the wood tones, and it also helps the paint bind to the cabinet better, giving a more strong finish. After we applied that first coat of primer, we went ahead and sanded everything down, wiped it clean, and applied a second coat. We then followed the same exact process using the paint color of our choice. Now, the last mistake that we had to correct was right here on our refrigerator. I forgot that we were supposed to put some trim pieces on here. Now, I did design for that. We completely spaced it during our building process. We just threw away the trim pieces. So when the refrigerator slid in, it had nothing to really screw to. So we just went ahead and added some more leftover butcher block material. Thought it gave it a nice finished look. And now the refrigerator's in there nice and steady, and everything is working out perfect. Now, these swivel tables were pretty easy to install. They have adjustable latches on them. It's a lot similar to the Lagoon system, if you guys are familiar with that. But really liking how these work. They just swivel out. We use some butcher block that we thickness planed down to 1/2-inch material, so it's not a full thick butcher block on top of it. Works great for cooking, prepping. If you guys actually watch some of my latest videos in Colorado, I used it to cook, put the cooktop on a lot. So love it. Also worked from it quite a bit, so works out great. Very easy to install, and I'll make sure to link that down below for you guys if you're interested in putting that in your vehicle. And that is a wrap on today's project. Just want to say thank you for watching this week's episode. If you are new and you learned something or enjoyed this video, then maybe consider hitting the like button down below, and also just jump on over and hit that subscribe button too, so you don't miss out on the next videos. But if you do hit the subscribe button, make sure you hit that bell icon, because sometimes YouTube won't let you know that I've posted a new video. So if you want to see what I'm up to, then make sure you hit that bell icon as well. We have a few more projects left on this van build, but we are going to be back out doing photography quite a bit and some winter camping here very, very soon. So, but that is it. I will see you guys in the next video.